Well, there are certain laws. The laws must be adhered to. They must not be violated or we'll suffer. We're going to talk about laws, watch laws today. Ooh, boy. Okay, so let me begin. When I was a kid, my favorite TV show, well, one of them was Lost in Space. The Jupiter 2 was in search of Alpha Centauri when it went off course. It had something to do with Dr. Smith, possible communist. So went off course, crash landed on various planets, and before the Swiss Family Robinson could exit the spacecraft and eat the various edibles, the very technologically sophisticated robot would go out there first and process all the particulate, the gases, the atmosphere, the plants, the edibles, the indigenous species of this and that, so he could go back and report, is the atmosphere safe? What foods can you eat? What foods can you not eat? These were laws, principles that had to be adhered to, or you could die, or if you survived, you would be miserable. So what's amazing about us watch obsessives is that I've had very in-depth conversations with you guys over the last 15, 20 years. You guys are smart, you're professional, you're very educated, you have a lot of resources, you're very privileged. I mean, look at all the suffering in this world. Oh yeah, I'm not supposed to do that, forgive me. Principles, laws. And you guys, a lot of times, I'm telling you, man, there's so much torment, and I include myself in this. The torment is just ridiculous. And I think a lot of the torment and the suffering is because we try to violate the watch laws. And one watch law that I have gone over a lot is the watch potency principle. The idea that the fewer watches you have, the more you can bond with them, enjoy them, and as a result, they are more potent. The potency is just ridiculous, and you love them. The converse is true. The more watches you accumulate, the less potent they become diluted. The dilution effect. The dilution effect, you put too much milk in your coffee, and the taste of coffee is but a faded memory. It's awful, the dilution effect. And you ignore the watch potency principle at your own peril. You can accumulate all these amazing watches, and a bewildering, mind-boggling thing happens. You say, why I should be happier? I've accumulated all these heavy hitters, all the beloved watches in the watch community. Why am I so miserable? Why am I so anxious? I can't bond with them. I'm like the golem of the watch treasure chest. I'm not even going out anymore with my wife and kids. I'm not even going to social events. I'm not seeing my friends. I'm just Gollum in front of my watch box trying on 12 watches a day. I can't bond with it. I can't bond with this one. I can't bond with this one. And you're miserable. It's because of the watch potency principle. You can't will your way out of it. You know what I'm reminded of? When I was a kid, I would watch Uri Geller. Psychokinesis, telepathic master. Uri Geller was a self-proclaimed psychic. He was on Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, the whole talk show circuit. And he'd go on TV and I'd watch him. What's he gonna do? He could bend pennies with his mental powers. He could bend a spoon. And he would look into the audience and say, your brain is an untapped organ of potential. You can do all of these things that I do. And I'm watching this. I'm like 9 years old. Wow. I'd go into the kitchen. My mom's making dinner. Hey, Mom, watch this. I pull a spoon out of the drawer. Mwah, mwah. Nothing's happening. And my mom's going, dude, that guy's a false prophet. Get out of here. Okay, you can't bend the spoon. You can't violate the laws of nature. And that's pretty much the watch potency principle. Try as you might. You can try to bond with your 44 watches. It's not happening. It's like you trying to pull a Uri Geller with that spoon. Nothing's going to happen. Now, you don't have to believe me. There are people who have gone down this route even more than I have. I've got a gentleman here, calls himself Avis Blue. This is Exhibit A, in that you cannot violate watch law, the watch potency principle. Look what he says here. Sir, he calls me sir. Wow, I'm an old dude. You know when you're old, people call you sir. I've been watching your videos for years. So here's someone who doesn't just watch an occasional video. He has my whole canon, my whole poetics. He has context. I've been watching your videos for years, but have never commented until now. Here's a man who's just been silently absorbing these watch principles. Your wisdom and observational acuity is like no one else I know who's making videos. Wow, I have observational acuity. I love that. I love the adjective observational attached to the noun acuity. I think I'm susceptible to that kind of flattery. All right, let's go on with this. I glean learnings and thought-provoking insights often from your videos. Your video on the watch potency principle really gave me a bit of a breakthrough. I love it when people have breakthroughs. I'm looking for a breakthrough personally myself on losing weight. Your perspective actually helped me understand myself a bit better. All right, I like this. It comes down to your previously stated watch potency principle, which basically says that too many watches, or a new watch coming into the collection, dilutes the potency of the other watches in one's possession. I realize now that this factor is very applicable to me, and it is what undoubtedly motivates me to sell off watches for what I thought was no good reason. So he didn't have the principle in mind. He didn't understand he had to keep selling watches when new ones came in because of the watch potency principle. I've owned and tried hundreds of watches, but I've never been able to own more than 5 or 6 at a time. Wow, this hits home, man. And thanks to your prompting, sir, continues to say sir. That's old school, man. This gentleman might be my age. That's old school, man. I have come to see that the reason, when I thought there was no reason, is that the dilution caused by the watch potency principle unconsciously drives me to sell something off in order to restore full potency to the watches that remain. Well, hallelujah for telling me this, because it confirms my own experience, confirms a lot of experiences that you guys have shared with me. For example, in the past year or so, a new Submariner comes into my collection. So I have to sell the Sea Dweller and the Speedmaster. Ladies and gentlemen, this dude he's going with the heavy hitters. He's fully invested emotionally and financially with his resources to get, the heavy hitters. These are the Reggie Jackson, Harmon Killebrew, Frank Robinsons of the timepiece world. Planet Ocean comes in. It comes out 4 months later when a Pelagos FXD comes in. I think I would have kept the Planet Ocean, and I would have kept that Sea Dweller. Woo, the Sea Dweller. Subsequently, both the latest Aerospace and Blancpain end up as catch and releases. I do love the dopamine rush and eager anticipation of the new incoming watch. I love the exploration of this hobby and experiencing the learnings from a new piece. But, if the new watch dilutes the potency of the others, or conversely, if the others dilute the potency of the new one, there's a conflict, and something has to go. Wow, this is my life. This is my life. The torment. A little explanation behind why I've never really allowed collection proliferation. It helps explain to myself why I've sold off some perfectly good watches that had nothing wrong with them, and not even anything specific. I could even say I disliked them. I didn't. Keep up the good work, sir, and know that you are appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, the watch potency principle is so it cannot be violated because you end up being forced to sell watches that you love that have nothing wrong with them, and that's going to make you miserable because you can't be the golem of the watch box and just stare at your watches all day and try to bond with them when you can't. You could try to Uri Geller your way out of it, and it's not going to happen, man. That's just unbelievable. I mean, this, the counter argument is, well, people have always said, get the heavy hitters, and that will cure you. No, you could get the best watches in the market, and you're going to still suffer from the watch potency principle, and you can't Uri Geller you can't bend the spoon. God, that tells me that we're kind of doomed to a certain misery, because that always means that there will always be watches that we love that we can't bond with, and not owning them will cause a certain misery and emptiness, but owning them will as well. So we end up selling them because of the watch potency principle. In a way, Avis Blue is the robot. He left the Jupiter 2. He did an analysis of the atmosphere, and he came back to tell us what was safe and what it isn't, so we wouldn't have to go out there ourselves. So he did a service to the watch community. I thank him for that, man. Man, I keep thinking of Uri Geller trying to bend the spoon, and I realize I can't accumulate very many watches. What does this mean for my YouTube channel? Is there an end game? What am I going to do? Am I going to reinvent myself? Am I going to become Uri Geller? Am I going to start elevating pencils? I don't know. I'm very nervous right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tell me what you think. Until next time, I'm out.